All very good. It comes over to the Senate, and we need 67 votes for that. And there's 66 votes. The 67th vote was potentially the chair of the Appropriations Committee, Senator Hatfield from Oregon, and Senator Hatfield said, this is a bad idea. Here's why it's a bad idea. Sometimes we're at war and we need to spend more money. Sometimes we're in recession and we need to spend more money. And we do decide every single year, and we're in the majority, Republicans in the majority, we decide every single year how much is going to be spent through the spending bills, the appropriation bills. And we decide through the revenue bills how much is going to be raised. So we already have the power to do a balanced budget in the years that it should be balanced. But we need to retain the power to address these emergencies. It's kind of an interesting story in that Senator Hatfield, for standing on this principle as the chair of the Appropriations Committee, was vilified. Vilified for defending the responsibility of the power of the purse held here. And in fact, he was so vilified that he even received a message from his son-in-law with a picture of his granddaughter and saying, for her sake, you should do this. He then went to the majority leader, Senator Dole, and said, if you feel so strongly this is right, and clearly I feel it's a mistake, I'll resign. And Senator Dole decided, no, we're not going to ask you to resign. We're not going to suggest that's the right answer. And so it fell one vote short. There is kind of an interesting twist to this story, because Oregon did not have a law that allowed a governor to appoint a replacement. So had Senator Hatfield resigned, there would have been 99 senators. And then you would have only needed 66 votes for the balanced budget amendment. But that did not transpire because Senator Dole turned Senator Hatfield's offer down. So then, what happened? Well, a little bit of frustration among the Republican majority. Their line item veto had been knocked down by the Supreme Court. Their constitutional amendment had not cleared the Senate. And they said, we really want to do a massive tax bill, particularly giving huge breaks from the richest, for the richest Americans. And they said, but we can't do it. We can't get it done. We can't get it done. Why not? Because the Democrats won't agree to massive tax breaks for the richest Americans. So we won't be able to get the 60 votes we need to be able to pursue this path. And then what happened? Well, Majority Leader Dole and others conferred and said, let's do a nuclear option. And let's take this strategy, this tool that we created in 1974 to reduce deficits, and let's repurpose it and allow it to be used to increase deficits. Of course, not at all what the 100 senators had voted on in 1974. Well, that was pretty dramatic to proceed to take a tool, reconciliation, invented in 1974 to reduce deficits, and to say it can be used to increase deficits. Well, yes, so dramatic, in fact, that it couldn't be done unless they overturned the opinion of the parliamentarian. So they fired the parliamentarian. That's what the Republicans did. They fired the parliamentarian, and they brought in a new parliamentarian. And his name was Robert Dove. Now, Robert Dove had been here in 1974. He knew about why they passed this bill with 100 senators to have a fast track with no filibuster was only for decreasing the deficits. But where had Mr. Dove been working? he had been working for the majority leader, Robert Dole.
All right, as you see, they're just listening into this unusual session that's now happening there on the Senate floor on this Saturday as Senator Jeff Merkley is making remarks, as other senators have done earlier in the day as well, on some of President Trump's nominees. Of course, we'll continue to dip into this coverage throughout the day here on Live Now from Fox. Did want to show that portion to you here on Live Now. We're going to take this time to slide away